Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Final Concept. So today we are going to create a business flyer in Adobe Photoshop, and this one is going to be a little bit directed towards food. But if you are interested in creating something like one for your makeup or one for probably t-shirts or something like that, you can still use this template. On that note, I'm going to leave a link in the description below to download this template. Unfortunately, it's going to be for Ghanaians only, so if you are outside of the country, unfortunately, you have to follow the tutorial. But if you don't want to, you can just head down there and download it for yourself. Anyway, let's get started. Welcome to Final Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Alright, so as always, I'll open up my application. I'm using Photoshop CC 2021, but any version should work just fine. And I'll click on create new, and this time around I'm going with the print design because it's going to be an A4, so I'll go into print and select A4 and make sure that everything is checked. Resolution, I'm leaving it at 300. You can use 72 pixels per inch, but I don't really see the need. Alright, so I'll just click on create here. Now the first thing we're going to do is actually create a pill. So you remember those Apple pill beats, something like that. That's something similar that we are going to do. So if you are on the newer version of Photoshop, you have to use the rectangular tool, but older versions you have to use the rounded rectangle tool. So I'll just go ahead and select the rectangle tool from here. You can just right click on the shapes and select rectangle tool from here. And I'm going ahead, let me quickly draw and see what we have. So you can see we have a rounded edge of about 200 pixels, which seems fine, but this is not what we are going to use. Let me go ahead and change the fill color so that I can always monitor what I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and change it to about 2000. Let's try 2000 and see how it's looking like. Okay, this is much better. So as you can see, if I even bring it closer, we get a perfect circle. This is cool. So what I'll do is I'll stretch it out to something, I think something like this is just fine. And I'll create a duplicate of it. So Control J will create a duplicate. Then I can have a second one like this over here. Now, you know what? Let's turn this around first. Then we create a duplicate. So I'll just hover over at any of the edges and we should get these arrows or bending arrows. Let's call them that for now. So I can just rotate them to whatever angle I want. I think somewhere around here is fine. And I'll place it somewhere close to the top like so. Then I'll go ahead and duplicate now. So Control J, and I'll bring this somewhere around here like so. Alright, so you know what, let's go ahead and group this up and let's call them shapes, because why not? Then I'm also going to group these two up, but before that, I'm going to create a duplicate of this as well. So we have the rectangle one over here. I'm going to create a duplicate of it, so another rectangle. And you know what, let's go ahead and change the color of this one to something different, so probably red. The color doesn't actually mean anything, but let's go ahead and do that. And I'll try and bring this at the bottom, like somewhere outside of where the blue is. If I zoom in, I'm going to align it perfectly using my move tool, that's V on your keyboard. So I think something like this is fine. Then I'm going to create a mask of this on top of that. So what is going to happen is the red one is only going to show where the blue one is. So to do that, there are several ways, but the easiest way I found is creating a clipping mask. So I can just right click on that, making sure that the red is on top of the blue. Right click and go to create clipping mask, which should be somewhere here, yeah, like this. If I go ahead and release, you notice that it shows only at where the blue is. So if I go ahead and move it around, it will only show where the blue is, which is cool. So we are going to do something similar to the other one. So Control J, let's change the color to probably that same red color. Then I'll also move this somewhere. Let's change the orientation a little bit. So probably somewhere around here should be fine. Zoom in, make sure everything is aligned perfectly. You can see that this is outside the blue, so I'll bring it somewhere here. All right, now this is looking much better. Let me go ahead and save this before it crashes. So let's call this food design again. I'll give it a version afterwards. Let's put this on my desktop. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add in a bunch of images. So since this is food, we are going to add in a bunch of images of food. If it is for makeup or something, you know what to use. So like I said, I'm going to also create a clipping mask, but in this case, it's not really that necessary because it is already showing at the place we want. I can also just play around the position. I think I'll bring this down just a little bit to reveal the red just a little bit. So let's go ahead and group this and call this probably second. I don't know. Sorry, I like typing in caps. Then we group this and probably call this first. Now the reason for that is if you name everything, it makes it a lot easier when you are working with it later on. So I'll go ahead. I think I have a bunch of images I downloaded from Google. I do not own these images, and if you download the template for some reason, I doubt you are going to have the images in there. If I don't forget, I have to blur them out because they are not mine. So as you can see, I have this image in here like so. Okay, now they are all looking good. So I'll just click open up Photoshop and just place one in there like this. And just as we did for the red rectangle, we are also going to create a clipping mask. So it is only going to show where that rectangle is, that red rectangle is. So making sure that the image is on top of that red rectangle. Right click and go to create clipping mask, which should be somewhere here. Yeah. So as you can see, it is showing only where that no. Unfortunately, the red rectangle is already clipping to that. So this is also going to be clipping to that, which is fine, but I'm going to find a way around it. So to do that, what I'm going to do is create a mask of the red rectangle with the image. I know it doesn't make sense, but this is what I mean. So holding down the control key, I'm sure it's going to be command if you're on the Mac. You will notice that if I hover over the thumbnail here, the mouse cursor gets this sort of square or selection square around it. Now, if I go ahead and click, it's going to create a selection for me. This is what I want. So what I'll do is, with that selection, I'll just create a mask using the add mask option here, the third icon from the left. And this is what we have. Now I'm also going to clip it to the blue rectangle so that it is also going to show only where the blue is. So right click, create clipping mask, and this is what we have. So basically what this does is, if I go ahead and unlink this, it will only show where the blue and the red are meeting, more like the intersection of them. So basically that is it. I'm going ahead to resize this so that it can fit quite neatly. So this is our first step, and we are basically going to do the exact same thing for second. So I'll come in here, grab an image. Let's go with this one. I'll place it on top like so. Create clipping mask. Then I'm going to control click on the thumbnail so that it selects where the rectangle is. Add the layer mask. Then boom, this is what we have. Now this is looking cool and all, but for food we always try to use a red color because it incites hunger. I don't know if that's the right word. It stimulates hunger. So the moment you see a flyer and everything is so red, you get hungry and you have to buy the food. That's what scientists are saying, not me. So basically, this is what you have for the shapes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another group. So the third icon from the right, and let's call this main text. I call it main text because that's the information I'll be using, typing and all of that. So let's give this food company a name. Let's call it let's just say Delicious to begin with. So let's select a color, highlight everything, select a color, probably this blue, and increase the font size to a lot. Now I'm using Gotham font. Obviously, this is what I'm always using. So I'll go ahead and select probably the bold italic, which is looking cool. Probably 48 points should be just fine. And I'll place it, no, let's make it about 36. I'll place it somewhere around here. So delicious foods, I'll place this also somewhere around here. Then instead of leaving it like this, I mean, this looks cool, but I feel if you add in shapes all the time, it makes it even much better. So what I'm going to do is draw rectangles beneath all of these. So let's create the first rectangle. Okay, now we still have our rounded edges over here. I'm going to set it to 0 points because I don't want any edges, any rounded edges. So something like this is looking fine for me. I'm going to place that rectangle, that layer, beneath everything, beneath the main text or whatever is in the main text, so that my text will be on top, basically. So let's select this, and instead of the blue color, let's select probably white so that we can see the text. For the food, I'll do the exact same thing. Now it's white on white, so you can't really see. And let's place this somewhere around here. So once I'm done, you know what, let's duplicate this. So Control J. You know what, before we even duplicate, I'm going to hover over at the center edge using my mouse cursor. Then I'm going to hold down the Control key. The Control key allows you to deform the shape. So without the Control key, if I just click, this is what we get. We just increase or decrease the size. But with the Control key held down, I can just deform it or change the shape to something like this, which I feel is cool. So I can now duplicate the rectangle, Control J. I'll put this on top because this is going to be the shape for food. So let's bring that down to somewhere around here, which is also looking cool. Now let's put all of them on top of our image. So delicious foods. Yeah, I think that is looking okay. I actually wanted a text that will fill out this entire place, but let's just go with delicious food. So let's change this color. I actually want this red color we got initially, so I'll copy it from here. Then let's come back. So I'll add that one on top of food. Yeah, so something like this is looking fine for me. So let's add in some variations. As you can see, because here is blue and here is also blue, it's not really contrasting that much. So either we can change the blue here, or we can add in a drop shadow so that it creates some sort of separation. So which one am I even working with now? Let's change this to red and see. I think that is even cool. And we can also change this to that red color. I think the red is okay for food, definitely. So let's work with this for now. Again, let me go ahead and save this before Adobe does its thing. So basically, this is going to be for the top. If you have a logo or anything like that, you can add it in, but I think I'm okay with this. Now we can add in our the rest of the information. So I'll create another group. Let's call it other text. I don't have a better name for that. Now for other text, let's type in something. So again, I don't own a food company, so I don't really have any name to give what these are. So for other texts, I don't really have that much of information, but I'll think of something. So let's say delicious food again. I mean, repetition is key here. So let me put this to this side. Let's change the font size to something a bit easier to work with. So I think delicious food here seems okay. I can also click and drag so that whatever I type is going to be in here like so. I don't actually have any information to use. So let's just go with the lorem ipsum text. So if I stretch this out, you can see it fills up that area. And I can also change the color to this blue one, because why not? I can't use the exact same thing from here. It seems this is not even entirely blue. It's some closer to the purple a little bit, but hey, that's fine. So for other text, I think this is okay. We'll come back to that with the contact information and yeah, a few other things. But for the meantime, let's create another group, and this time around we are going to call them other pictures, or yeah, other fruits. So just other pictures should be just fine. So I'll go ahead and okay, so these are the images I'm going to be using, but those images are going to be on an ellipse or a circle for that matter. Now to create a circle, we have to use the ellipse tool. So if I just click and drag, definitely we get an ellipse, but we want a perfect circle. So to do that, you have to hold down the shift key, and that will give you a perfect circle at all edges. So something like this is fine. And I'm going to create a duplicate, Ctrl J, and put the second one somewhere here, Ctrl J, and put the third one somewhere here. Always trying to align them perfectly. So if I go ahead, you know what, if you don't have your rulers active over to the top and to your left, hold down the Ctrl key and press R, the letter R for rabbit. So just click and drag from the left hand side, and the moment it gets to the center, it's going to snap like so, as you can see from here. So what I'll do is I'll highlight, or I'll make sure that other pics is active. If I use the move tool or press V on my keyboard, you can see this is their center. So I'll just move, I'll just move them to the center like so. Now I know everything is perfectly aligned. Now I can go ahead and hide the guideline now. So yeah, let's add in our images. Let's call this left. Let's call this center. Let's call this right. Like I said, it makes it a lot easier for me to identify them later on. So let's grab this, place it on the left. Let's grab another, place it here, and let's grab another, probably this one. Okay, so if I go ahead and hide all of these, I'll be placing them one after the other. So the first one is going to be on the left, and like we did previously, we are creating clipping mask or masking everything on top of it. So what I'm going to do is making sure it is on top of the shape, right click and go to create clipping mask. Now if I move it, you can see it is only showing where that circle is. So I'll go ahead and resize to fit perfectly in there like so. Then I'll do the exact same thing for calories. So I'll put that on center, right click, create clipping mask. If I move that, you can see it is also showing at the center. So let me align that also somewhere here. Then let's show the eyeball for the last one. Do the exact same thing, create clipping mask. If you're interested in using shortcuts, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. They are all shortcuts to whatever I'm doing today, and it's a lot easier when you know how to use them. So basically, we have done something quite interesting. You know what? Let me change this font to the Gotham black. Yeah, I think this is looking much better. And let me bring this text also up. Probably change the color to black so that we have some variations. And for the other pictures, I'm also going to bring them up a little so that if you have some form of information, you can put them at the bottom, which in our case we do have. So under other text, we are going to, under other text, we are going to create another group. Let's call this group bottom, because why not? Then I'm going to use a rectangle tool. So I'm going to create a rectangle at the bottom like so. Just use the move tool to make sure everything is at where it's supposed to be. So something like this, just resizing. If your resizing is not working, it's resizing proportionally, just hold down the shift key and it's going to work like magic. So let's use a red color from here too as well. Probably a much darker color. And I can even make this much smaller. I think something like this is fine. And I think I'll actually make these bigger so that they can fill out those spaces. What happened to our text? If you have more, we can even bring them in there. So probably 16 points. I think 16 points will be fine. Yeah, this is looking cool. I may have to reduce the size back again. So if you have any form of contact details, this is where you're going to keep them. So in my case, if you want to call or something like that, you can always have it in here. So for others, I can't see what I'm typing because it is at the it is beneath the rectangle, so I have to just bring it up like so. So let's say for others, comma, contact, then I'll have a phone number in there, like something like this. If this is an actual phone number, forgive me, I have no intention of putting your phone number on the internet. So I think 24 points is fine. Oops. So I'll place this somewhere here, and it seems the rectangle is not big enough, so we know what, I'll increase the size to something like this. So yeah, if there's any other information like websites, which I do have, so www.theolabi.com. I can't believe I actually have 2 websites. So let's put both of them there in case you want to check them out. Definitely do. So basically this is it. I think we can work with this, but if you want to add in something different, I mean, we can also do that. Now, for some reason, I don't like this red color. I'll probably go with black or something, or probably the blue. This is the problem with design. You have to keep changing your designs over and over again until you are satisfied with what you want. So basically, that's it. If you have some form of location or anything in there, you can also add it. There are a couple of things I'm going to add in there to make the template much better. Like I said, if you are interested in downloading this and you're from Ghana, you should definitely use the link in the description below, and it's going to give you access to it. Now, I want to make this richer, obviously, so I'm going to take a little bit of time, but this is a tutorial. I don't want to waste too much of your time. Just for you to know the basics is just enough. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of our videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is still Filipino Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.